Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is going to debate Hillary Clinton. He's not going to debate Father Time, Tales from the Crypt, The Exhumed Body, Weekend at Biden's, a person who looks and acts and communicates like an exhumed body or cadaver that got Botox or plastic surgery. Okay? The wonderful vice president, former vice president, didn't know where he was at the other day. You're talking about a person who most people view as being one fry short of a Happy Meal. A person who slurs his speech all the time. A person who actually stated that he was running for Senate. A person, when asked about the pandemic, stated that he wanted the cure to be worse than the problem. Okay. A person with Charlemagne the God that said, you ain't, the most offensive, absurd, truly racist comment, the you ain't comment. We could go on forever, okay? He called Arizona a city the other day. This goes beyond personality. This is, obviously they don't want Biden on a national stage. He was, it was the CNN climate change episode or segment, and there was a vessel that burst, and he looked like he turned into a reptile on national TV. The whole thing is, look, this is a charade. It's an obvious farce. They're not going with Biden because they know they would lose miserably. The polls are dreadfully off. The only reason that the popular vote went to Clinton was because Gary Johnson took 4.5 million votes from President Trump. They're still crying about Jill Stein taking like a little over 1 million votes. Gary Johnson took 4.5 million votes from Trump. And they outspent Trump 2-1. This is Joe Lockhart, CNN. Joe Biden could still lose this election. Now, Joe Lockhart is a former Bill Clinton. Oh, I remember when he was my press secretary. I believe he's the press secretary, Bill Clinton's press secretary. But you look here, Joe Lockhart, a CNN political analyst. He was the White House press secretary from 1998 to 2000 in President Bill Clinton's administration. Oh, I remember him. He was so great. And now we're going to have him write an article on CNN or an op-ed. This way, my wife will be able to go ahead and get what's rightfully hers. First of all, the article is titled, rightfully so, Joe Biden could still lose the election. Yeah, because he would get decimated. He would get obliterated. The polls are dreadfully off. The polls up until like a week before the election said that Clinton was up by double digits. Not only double digits nationally, but double digits in certain states. The only reason that she was up by like 3%, in the polls, the national popular vote, was because they outspent Trump 2-1. Gary Johnson also took 4.5 million votes. But here, I'm going to read this to you, and I'm going to dissect exactly why this is absurd and exactly why Democrats, liberals, and many progressives in general are on the wrong side of history. Whatever you do, don't debate Trump. This is what Bill Clinton's press secretary, in an article in CNN stating that Joe Biden could still lose this election, is saying. Do you think, first of all, just really quickly, do you think that the wonderful and beautiful and intelligent and talented and supremely qualified and pure as the driven snow Madam Secretary is going to telegraph and say, Joe, beat it. It's my turn now. And this, you were just you're just a part of this overall charade, and you've done your job, and thank you so much. Do you think she's going to say that? No. The way they work is slowly but surely you get these articles coming out. Hey, don't debate Trump. You could still lose the election. 2 weeks. We're going to postpone the vice presidential pick for 2 weeks. But here, whatever you do. Now, who is giving this advice? It's Bill Clinton's former press secretary. I told you they'd all come out of the woodwork. I told you they'd all scurry about. And Clinton is the only person, by the way, the Democrats have that can stand up to President Trump. Biden would get eaten alive by Trump. He would get obliterated, eviscerated, decimated, steamrolled, stomped on. I mean, it would be like a great white shark versus a tiny little guppy. But here, this is basically Clinton telling Biden or telling the world, whatever you do, don't debate Trump. Trump has now made more than 20,000 misleading or false statements, according to the Washington Post. Well, wait a second. Don't you want to debate somebody who doesn't know the facts? Don't you want to debate somebody that is misleading or makes false statements? This is how you know they're full of bandini, full of you-know-what. They're so petrified that people will believe Trump. Trump actually is a lot more honest than Clinton or President Obama. A lot more honest. The Washington Post, Snopes, all the fact-checking organizations, what they do is they look at semantics, they look at hyperbole, they look at any type of thing that a politician says. In President Trump's case, for example, it'll be like this week had record low unemployment, and Trump will say something like, "This is the best economy we've ever had." Well, we had record low unemployment, and the stock market was up, and I mean, it was absolutely. I mean, all the other statistics were fantastic. So what Trump said was a little bit of hyperbole, but they would be like, "False. This is not the best we've ever had. Oh, Trump, the post-truth moment." And so they'll harp on that. That's the type of statement that President Obama has made all throughout his presidency. President Obama drank Flint water and said it was safe to drink. It was still poisonous. So President Obama talked about how he wanted to save human lives in Libya. Well, the opposite took place. President Obama stated he didn't know that his own Secretary of State had private servers. We know from Cheryl Mills that he was lying. And we don't have to go into Madam Secretary, just not just with the Clinton email debacle, server debacle, but I mean, the Bible is her favorite book. We can go on forever. But here, I mean, do you believe that the Bible is Hillary Clinton's favorite book? I mean, we can go on forever. That's just one of, like, okay, didn't send or receive top secret intelligence, or didn't send or receive anything marked classified, anything classified. I use a server for servers for convenience. I deleted yoga emails. We can go on forever. Oh, Attorney General Loretta Lynch met with Bill Clinton to speak about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren. I mean, how many lies? We can go, like, Trump's lies. Sure, he's told lies, but the nature of the lies or the impact is nothing compared to the impact and the magnitude of the deception and lies and misleading statements from Clinton and President Obama and Biden. But we can go on forever regarding that. But here, it's a fool's errand to enter the ring with someone who can't follow the rules or the truth. No, it's not a fool's errand. You would make them look like a fool. See, this is the funny thing. When I go ahead and I say, okay, to anyone who's like said something about me or written something about me, I say, let's debate. There was one person who obsessed. There's a publication that no longer exists, but there's one person, a writer, who wrote like 5 hit pieces on me. That, like, if you type my name in, you still see those hit pieces. The publication doesn't even exist. Okay, they're probably still paying the server fee just to keep the hit pieces on me. So. But I called out that person on. This is when I had Twitter. I do not have Twitter. But I said, hey, let's debate. Oh, I don't want to. He didn't want to. There's somebody on YouTube that did a whole bunch of like YouTube hit pieces. I said, let's debate. That person didn't want to either. They're petrified. another YouTuber that did, and I called him out, said let's debate. And then I saw on Twitter, I don't have a Twitter account, but I saw on Twitter somebody was calling him out, saying, hey, why don't you debate HA? And he was like, oh, well, it wouldn't be good faith debate, he's a grifter, man. And it's like they all know I would cut them up, slice them up, I would eviscerate them because they had the truth is not on their side. Okay, the truth is that the Democratic Party is a political machine. The truth is that Bernie Sanders was cheated. The truth is that President Trump is a good president. Or you could say the truth is that President Trump is definitely not a threat or danger to democracy. So that, I mean, you might not think you could say he's not a good president. Fine, that's an opinion. The truth, though, is that he's not as bad as Democrats think he is or try to portray him as. But anyway, if indeed he was such a lying, deceitful monster who has made 20,000 misleading statements, I mean, this is like childish. Like, you could get 40,000 misleading statements from President Obama or Clinton's tenure during his first term. 40,000 easily if they were really you'll keep your doctor, all of these. You could dissect every word and everything that was stated, okay, and slice it up, dice it up, and see if it's honest or truthful. That's not the way they work. The way they work is the sophomoric type of he made a hyperbolic statement. Oh my God, it's a lie. Anyway, wouldn't Biden want to debate Trump if indeed Trump is such a deceitful, creature? Well, Biden doesn't even know how to communicate. So you're talking about somebody who wouldn't even, he would get flustered and he would start not necessarily slurring speech, but you wouldn't even comprehend. There was one, Biden sometimes, they put, his campaign team puts subtitles when he speaks. You might as well have the bouncing ball. But anyway, here, so Biden will undoubtedly take heat from Republicans and media for skipping the debates, but it's worth the risk as trying to debate someone incapable of telling the truth is an impossible contest to win. No, it's not. That's the problem with the left. The problem with the left is that they don't want debate because their ideas are not, they can't back their ideas up, and they don't know enough to call someone out if a person's lying. So you would think they would relish the idea of debating President Trump. The reality is it would be an utter debacle if Biden was seen debating Trump. Now, the polls are off. They're doing the same thing all over again. They're going to blame another country. They're going to demand investigations. When they lose, they are going to lose the election. It's going to be with Clinton. She will lose again. With Biden, they would lose in a landslide. The average American does not blame President Trump for the pandemic. The average American doesn't look at chaos in cities. Trump could win Minnesota. They're not blaming President Trump for curfews because of violence and mayhem in major cities. That's not Trump's fault. If anything, he's the law and order person. The polls are dreadfully wrong, and they're dreadfully off. The Democrats are overrepresented in these polls, and they're talking about, the polls ask people, what do you think of Trump's response to the protests or his response to the pandemic? The governors and mayors, if people within a certain state of the country, 5 states, account for over half of the lives lost and half of the cases of the pandemic in the entire country. The people who are really suffering are blaming their governors and they're blaming their mayors. They're not blaming Trump because Trump can't dictate what a state does. So that's number one. Number two, President Trump, his response to the protests, some people might dislike his response, some people might like his response, but you look at, like, for example, Minneapolis, they asked the federal government for $500 million to rebuild the city. Why? Because of peaceful protests. You look at Portland, you look at these. Nobody looks at mayhem and chaos and says, oh my God, Trump is horrible. They say, oh my God, like, what is the left, what is the Democratic Party doing? These cultural issues, kneeling for the flag, well, Democrats, like, I don't see Pelosi or Schumer or Clinton or anyone else kneeling during the national anthem. They're not. And everybody knows what's going on. Democrats sit on the sidelines and they say, oh, well, Trump is really bad. Trump stands for bringing Americans home from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. He stands for the bills that he signs, the First Step Act. He signed the First Step Act. He just signed an executive order lowering prescription drugs. He just signed, last year signed an executive order combating anti-Semitism, which is running rampant on college campuses. The left, we had record low unemployment. I said that. He's the first president to step foot in North Korea. He's done a lot of great things. Anyway, this whole thing's a charade. If you look at what Dan Bongino reported, they're petrified. They're going to change. They're going to switch from Biden to Clinton very soon. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel if you want to support my voice long term. My Patreon is below. Ladies and gentlemen, I have amazing live streams in the evening. Thank you for your support and your kind words always. What can I tell you? For people who have watched me for 4 years, when I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, and now I'm a Trump supporter, very proud and happy. He's a great president. The media is not objective. You could safely say the vast majority, probably over 90%, easily over 90%, is not wearing a Make America Great Again hat when they go into the cafeteria of whatever news publication or cable station they work for. Everyone in media is voting Democrat. The coverage is apoplectic. Completely apoplectic, hysterical, fanatical, seething, fuming. They're trying to create this reality that doesn't exist. The reality is President Trump's going to win. It ain't going to be Biden, because whether they give Clinton the nomination at the convention or after the convention, Clinton is going to be debating President Trump. It's the Russians who stole it from her. It's not the Russians who stole it from Biden. This whole Biden charade will be a case study in how easily it is to dupe not only Democrats and liberals, but also progressives and everyone, anarchists, socialists, communists, everyone on the left. They think that they can create their own reality. They think that they are able to live their own lives and they don't live within this matrix or within this bubble. But really, the Democratic National Committee controls everything. And they're either too weak-willed or they don't want to seem like a Trump supporter. They don't want to be they don't want to engage in any blasphemy. So the people who are like, yeah, I'm not voting Democrat, those are the people who actually have a spine. And those are the people who can actually say, okay, I'm fighting back. You know, you cheated Bernie Sanders in 2016. You cheated him in Iowa. I'm not going to do this anymore. But what the left does is like, oh, yeah, Biden. And then they'll go to Clinton and they're not going to skip a beat. And they will crush and decimate any resistance. And I will be supporting Madam Secretary. God bless her. because she vindicates everything I've ever said about the left. And she'll run again in 2024. Don't think that she's not going to run. She'll run again in 2024, and it'll be fantastic also. She might actually win, because then, Trump will have gone 8 years, so who knows who the Republicans have. But see, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I used to be a lifelong Democrat. No longer. But I'm not a Republican. I'm voting for President Trump because he's unique in so many ways. Give me your thoughts below. Clinton's going to debate Trump. It ain't going to be Biden. And we can see from that CNN article that they're petrified of even the notion of Biden debating Trump. It has nothing to do with Trump being, this liar. They're very afraid that he would be eaten alive, like literally eaten alive. Give me your thoughts below. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. To my 20-minute crowd, be here this evening for my live streams. Thanks so much.